This is actually an incredible time to be an NFT project founder in the Web3 space, because what we've seen over the last month is what could be the re-emergence and the repopularization of the Ethereum blockchain in the Web3 space. Over the last couple of weeks, we've seen a couple notable projects sell out on Ethereum and really make a lot of noise in the space. On top of the unfortunate reality of what has been happening on Solana, really the space getting shaken and the price of Solana crumbling down, what we could see is more adoption going from Solana, or more adoption leaning towards Ethereum again. And the most interesting part is this time, the types of projects we're seeing launch and sell out on Ethereum are completely different than the types we used to see during the bull market. The game has changed. And in today's video, we're going to be exploring what does this new game look like? What do the new project profile that are currently succeeding in the NFT space, what do they look like? What can we take away from them? And how can we apply that to our project? And the best example we're going to be going through in today's video is going to be Art Gobblers. If you haven't heard of Art Gobblers, it is a project by the co-founder of Rick and Morty. And they've done an incredible job from A to Z in terms of how they launched their NFT project. What are the different elements that they showcased from their project to attract those buyers that they were going after and really make over $1 million on their secondary when this was a free mint. My name is Leon Aboud, founder of NFT consulting and marketing agency unfungible.xyz. If after watching this video you still have any questions related to NFT marketing, then feel free to get in touch with myself and my team by booking a free 30-minute consultation call by clicking on the link in the description of this video so you can learn how we can help you, how we can help your project, and how you, most importantly, can get involved with us. And hey, if you're a visual learner, make sure you check out my Twitter at HeyThisIsLeon, where I regularly transcribe parts from this video into written text, as well as cover a lot of different observations I have about the Web3 and NFT marketing space that don't always tend to make it into a full 20-minute video. So do check that out right there at HeyThisIsLeon. For Art Gobblers, if we are to look at their OpenSea listing, we can see that they've done over 11K total volume at a 6.9% royalty. So that, if you do the math of the average price of Ethereum over the last 2 weeks when they sold out, that's over $1.1 million. If we are to look at the activities, it honestly is crazy what happened to the project. 3 days after minting, they had a floor price, they hit a floor price of 16 ETH, average price of 16 ETH, and then crumbled all the way down to the current floor price of 2.89 ETH. It did cause a lot of controversy in the space, but I won't be going into that in today's video because that's not the goal. Our goal is to learn from what they did right to really achieve that level of success in the first place. And if we are to look at the art, we can very quickly identify similarities between this Art Gobbler's art and Rick and Morty, who has obviously the same artist behind this project and plays on the same vibe, on the same color palette between those two different projects. Now, I really want you to come out of this video having learned as much as possible, which is why what we're going to be doing is we're going to be learning exactly the 3 types of NFT personas that exist in the space, the 3 buyer personas in the space. That way we can really understand how is it exactly that Art Gobblers positioned itself for specifically one of those 3 buyer personas. Now at Unfungible, we were able to refine those buyer personas through many interviews we've conducted in the NFT space, as well as a lot of research we've done in the space. And we've come out with those 3 personas. The first one is called the X Collector. X stands for Generation X and Collector stands for the motivation behind this person entering the NFT space. And if we are to read the description, X Collector is a UX designer. He's traded Bitcoin for 5 years and started buying NFTs early 2021. He is most interested in building a collection, feeling part of a cool community, and is keen to buy PFPs that were cool and credential, like Murakami. He is frustrated certain blue chips are so expensive, but is following NFT Twitter influencers to find new communities. He's happy to make money on trades, but for him, it's more about building a collection and feeling connected. Now, this tells us a couple of things. Number one, it tells us the motivation behind the X Collector. He's happy to make money on trade, but for him, it's more about building a collection and feeling connected. So that's his motivation. And number two, where he does his research. So right here, but is following NFT Twitter influencers. So those are the 2 key elements we're going to take from the X Collector. The second buyer persona we have in the NFT space is Finny. Fin stands for FinTech, Y stands for Generation Y. About. Fin is financially sophisticated. He owns a couple blue chips, but his most interest is in making money. He's in several alpha communities on Discord and Telegram and researches on Twitter. His most common journey is getting tips from influencers, then doing some of his own vetting research. He works so doesn't have time to be constantly monitoring the market. You want to think about Finney, someone in his early 30s, someone that's a little bit financially sophisticated, has a little bit of purchasing power, and tends to work in occupations that are more tech forward, like banking, a data analyst. Those are the types of fields Finney tends to be in. And what we can learn from here is that Finney tends to get his tips from alpha communities and influencer, and then does his own research to get into that. Finney falls under the smart buyer category. Whenever you hear someone talk about smart buyers, it's typically Finney. And Finney is interested in making money, but is more patient with his money, as we're going to see in comparison to the third and final type of buyer persona. Finney is more long-term focused, so he will buy something and is willing to hold it for the next year. Versus our third buyer persona, which is Z Money, and you saw that one coming. Z Money, Generation Z, money, his motivation is money. Age 22, tends to be a student. Z Money is a Gen Z degen. He's on Twitter and in Discord alpha groups 24/7, and early on made significant profits flipping NFTs and various cryptos. He's more interested in other more nascent liquid exchanges and chains. He's finding more action, volatility there, and is also trading on DEX to save on fees. So as you can imagine, Z Money is the degen we've all heard about. As we can understand, Z Money's main goal is to make money. And from that, we can understand why most of people in the Solana ecosystem happen to be Z Money people. And that's because Solana's quick transaction speed and low transaction cost allows Z Money to basically come into a trade, swing trade, buy low, sell high, and make money off that difference without having to pay $30, $40 on gas fees like you would on Ethereum. So here we are, X-Collector, Finney, and Z Money. And if we are to dilute it down, we can really understand that each buyer persona resonates with a different project. The type of branding they resonate with, the type of messaging, and the type of marketing we do to them is very different. So that's very important for you to know your project. What type of buyer persona does it appeal to? And therefore reverse engineering the marketing channels to go and target those buyers. Now, in the context of Art Gobblers, which of those three buyer personas do you think they were going after? I'll give you 2 seconds to think about it. And the answer to that is Finney, obviously. And one way we can understand that is if we are to remember the week Art Gobblers minted out, and all of a sudden everyone started to talk about them. Most of NFT Twitter did not know about Art Gobblers. They didn't know what is an Art Gobbler, where did it come from, who was the team behind it. They were just shocked, and it was like a surprise to them. And the reason for that is most of the activity on NFT Twitter is Z Money. Again, 24/7 people active in the NFT space, they have time. Versus Finney, who is more silent and looks at things from a third-person perspective, from a bird's eye view. Only Finney in the NFT space had learned that Art Gobblers was a thing and had access to Art Gobblers whitelist. And we're going to be seeing exactly how did Art Gobblers do that. But before we do, this is where we want to understand. So for Finney, let's say I'm a Finney. What type of project do I resonate with? And here is Finney's buyer behavior. Finney tends to resonate with those 4 things in the NFT space. Number 1, they like to see qualified team building projects. Number 2, they want to see sustainable businesses. Again, Finney is financially sophisticated. He understands business, and he likes to see businesses that are coming in beyond just a merch shop and beyond just promises of passive income. Those don't work, and Finney understands that. And Finney wants to see sustainable businesses. Third things third, Finney likes to see social proof. He likes to see especially other Finneys paying attention to the project he is eyeing. And finally, Finney wants to see profit potential. And profit potential really ties the previous 3 things together into one line. The rest of this video is really going to focus on those 4 elements. How exactly did Art Gobbler showcase each one of those 4 elements and really position itself in a way that is very appealing and sexy for Finney? Part 1, qualified team. I'm not going to talk too much about it because this is pretty obvious, but basically the founder of Art Gobblers is also the founder of Rick and Morty, Justin Roiland. And if we are to go here, we can see very quickly that Justin Roiland is an American voice actor, animator, writer, and producer. He is best known for co-creating Adult Swim's Rick and Morty and its subsequent franchises. So already the founder has background in creating. What I do want to focus on, however, in the case of Art Gobblers is Paradigm. So Paradigm is a Web3 and crypto investment firm. And having Paradigm, the stamp of Paradigm on your project is basically one of the sure ways to showcase that you have a legit project and you have something that is worth paying attention to. I mean, really, if we are to go on Paradigm's portfolio page and we look at some of the projects they worked with, they have Blur, they've worked with Coinbase, they've worked with FTX, which now no longer is a good reputable source. However, they also have, for example, Magic Eden, OpenSea, Phantom. So basically they've worked with some of the heaviest hitters in the crypto and Web3 space. And really already having Paradigm on there shows that you are legit. Now, if we are to go to the actual thing that got the attention of a lot of Finnies in the space, it wasn't necessarily Justin Roiland's name on the project, but it was something else. And this is something I can talk from my own personal experience. And this is how I learned about Art Gobblers myself. So about 3 months ago, I got a tip on WhatsApp. I got a message basically from someone, a data analyst that works with me at Unfungible. And what he sends me is not, hey man, pay attention to Art Gobblers, it's a project by Rick and Morty. What he sends me is simply this link right here. So if we are to go to the website and we are to go to the green paper, all of a sudden we get welcomed by the white paper of Art Gobblers. So I was just sent this link by itself. And if we are to look at Leon from the NFT Buyer Persona, I would not say I fall under the Z-Money type of buyer persona. I lean more towards the Finny type. And really seeing this, before even knowing that it was the founder of Rick and Morty and Paradigm was part of this, I saw this and I was like, man, this is actually really good what they're building. And in a nutshell, the white paper they put out there caught the attention of a lot of Finnies out there. If we are to go back to our second point, the sustainable business piece, and the white paper they built basically showcased the ecosystem they were building. And in a nutshell, if we are to go through the ecosystem very quickly, by owning an Art Gobblers, basically you're producing a token called Goo. And when you produce Goo, you can use that Goo to basically turn the drawings you make on the Art Gobblers platform, and you can basically they call this glaminate. You can basically turn it into an NFT and stamp it to the metadata of your Art Gobblers. So for instance, right here, if we are to go back to the website and I were to go to draw, I can, draw whatever I want. I can come up with something very sexy. And if I like what I draw, and I can basically go and stamp it to the metadata of the gobbler that I have. That way, let's say I own a gobbler and I've commissioned this one very famous artist to do all the drawings on my gobbler. And all of a sudden, my gobbler has 30 different images from this very famous artist attached to the metadata of my gobbler. All of a sudden, I can go resell my gobbler with the metadata that comes with it. Obviously, I can go resell that and my gobbler will be more special than the other people out there. And that's really the logic behind it. And on top of that, let's say you've collected a couple gobblers. You can then combine your gobblers, spend them, and basically unlock a legendary gobbler that doubles your production of Goo. So that's a little bit about how the idea works. And the beautiful part about this white paper is that they have detailed exactly how the mechanisms of the Goo works. So right here, if we are to go to the Goo part of the white paper, we are to go to the Goo supply over time. You can see that they've detailed exactly how the ecosystem is going to function. And if we are to go to the Goo specific white paper, so Goo gradual ownership optimization, we can see that they've detailed exactly how the mechanism works, even showing formulas. I've studied engineering myself, so numbers do not intimidate me. But going through this, I could quickly identify like this is actually legit what they're building. This isn't something that they wrote on a napkin. There's actually a mechanism behind this. Their whole mechanism is also available on Gitbook that you can go access, download. And something very interesting that they built that is new to the market is something they call variable rate GDAs. And what it is in a nutshell is basically a new mechanism that they built to regulate the supply and demand curve for the issuance of new gobblers. So as we've seen, there are only 2,000 gobblers that were minted at first. And then there's going to be another 8,000 that are going to be minted by basically burning Goo that is produced by the Art Gobblers. So what they built is a mechanism that adjusts the supply and demand to fit a specific schedule. So let's say they wanted to mint one gobbler per day, every day for the next couple of years. What's going to happen is, let's say they are minting more Art Gobblers than they are that is scheduled. What's going to happen is the mechanism is automatically going to adjust the price of the gobbler to be more expensive than what is scheduled. Let's say by day 5, you should be minting 5 Art Gobblers. However, we happen to be minting 7. That means we are 2 days ahead. That means buying a new gobbler is going to cost you 4 times more. So halting purchases of new Art Gobblers, waiting for time to elapse and getting back on schedule so you can buy at the regular price. Obviously, the formulas are all detailed here. And honestly, this is very smart because what they're building is not just an ecosystem that will only function for Art Gobblers. If this shows to be a sustainable tokenomics model, we can see a lot more brands start applying this to their own ecosystems, and all of a sudden Art Gobblers would have been, the catalyst that would have created this, therefore making Art Gobblers, the OG project that earned its spot for creating this new ecosystem. Everything is publicly available on Gitbooks. If we are to go on this Excel sheet, so they've published Art Gobblers, the number of gobblers that are going to be emitted every month. And one thing we want to pay attention to here is this. So minted to team and community. So 1 out of every 10 gobblers that is going to be issued in the future is going to go directly to the team. And this is interesting. This is an interesting model that I do think we're going to start seeing if the rise of the 0% royalty meta keeps becoming popular. And this is the model that CryptoPunks had. Basically, CryptoPunks, they had a specific percentage of the supply, of the total supply, they had it for the team. And then whenever you needed liquidity, you just put your punk for sale. And this is exactly the model that the Art Gobblers is using. So 1,598 out of the total 10,000 gobblers that are going to be circulating are going to be for the team. So they will basically control about 16% of supply. And here in terms of the total issued gobblers, so month 1 after launch, which is right now, there will be 2220 gobblers issued. By the end of this cycle, so by month 130, so that's 10 years, there will be 8,300 gobblers. One thing we can't deny is what they're building is cool. They have something great going on, and Finney noticed that and they realized like, oh shit, those guys are actually building something that could have a lot of value in the future. And I mean, this white paper just circulated itself in the alpha groups that all those Finney people are in, and it got the attention for Art Gobblers. Well deserved, honestly. Now this is where we get into the juicy stuff. How did people get whitelisted for Art Gobblers? And there are 2 types of personas that got whitelisted for Art Gobblers. The first one is grinders. The second one is lifelong grinders. And we're going to be looking at exactly how the difference, how did that result in one of the best PR marketing campaigns that I've ever seen in my life. Now, first things first, if we are to go on the first ever tweet of Art Gobblers on June 9th, we can see it garnered 60,000 views right there. Now, if we continue scrolling up a little bit, this is where they started inviting the community to do art on their art creation platform. Then here, they started incentivizing people with whitelist. And then what happened? They started giving people that were drawing on their platform whitelist. So right here, we can see, for example, this person from the team, what a visual enigma, provoke powerful visceral response. Check your DM, Saint Stero. So Saint Stero is the person that made this, and he got a whitelist. Same thing for this person. Same thing for Leon Carson. So check your DMs, Leon Carson. So that's how they were basically incentivizing people to start using the platform by giving them whitelists. And the second way they attracted people is they understood that they had a very good product that was appealing to a lot of people. And what they did is 50% of people they knew would want to grind. The other 50% of their target buyer was not interested in grinding. Finnies don't grind, they don't have time. So what they did is that they hand-picked influencers and reached out to them and offered them a free whitelist. Now, this created a lot of controversy in the NFT space, as we can see right here on Twitter. So that was the days leading up to the mint, as well as the day of the mint, October 31st. We can see all NFT Twitter was basically raging against Art Gobblers for what they did, basically giving specific people access to the whitelist, therefore making it unfair for the community. And here, for instance, we have a list of the people that did end up minting Art Gobblers. So those were whitelisted people. And we can see pretty legit influencers, Farouk, Zeneca, Grapedot, Andrew Wang. So a lot of big people in this space got whitelisted. And a lot of people felt that this was unfair, that, like why the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. And the idea was for Art Gobblers, this was just good marketing. They understood that they wanted to incentivize the short-term grinders, but they also wanted to incentivize the people that have been grinding in the NFT space for the last year and a half, which are the influencers. So they wanted to incentivize them. And of course, as we've seen, Finny attracts Finny. So all of a sudden, having those smart buyers buy or mint Art Gobblers attracted all the other Finnies in the space to come in and buy. And this created this crazy floor of 15 Ethereum that we saw on the first day of Art Gobblers minting. And one thing they did, which I thought was incredibly smart, is the day before the mint, they orchestrated what was probably one of the smartest yet dumbest influencer campaigns I've seen in the NFT space. Basically, they asked all the influencers that were whitelisted, I presume, they asked them to copy paste the exact same message. So Andrew, Art Gobblers are coming in a couple of days. I think this will be unique projects that reinvigorates the NFT space for a bit. Yes, I am on the whitelist, but it doesn't make this statement any less true. Chaotic experiment inspired. Then Nate, same thing, same message, copy paste. Oliver Maroney, same copy paste message. Foo Bar, same copy paste message. And that again got a lot of people making fun of Art Gobblers, making fun of those influencers for the copy pasta message that they all tweeted. But hey, as we've seen again and again in the NFT space, there's no such thing as bad publicity. And hey, one thing I do want to mention, and this is from personal experience. So I speak with a lot of project founders. I work with a couple clients, a handful of clients that are building NFT projects. And one question I got last time was, hey, Leon, so we have a 10K collection at $400 mint on Ethereum. Let's do the same thing Art Gobblers did. Let's go give whitelist to those specific influencers. I sat there and I was like, great idea, but we will need to make your mint free. And then the founder looked at me and was like, why would we do that? The reason is you cannot go reach out to an influencer and give them a whitelist and then them having to pay for that whitelist. You're not offering value. You're just asking for money at this stage. So the strategy, you could have the greatest project in the world, but you can only pull this off if you basically have a free mint or you offer those influencers a free mint. Anything else will not work. You're going to come off as salesy. You're going to come off as cheap and just greedy, asking for money from those influencers, and they just won't answer you. And something else that was very appealing to the NFT community is right now during a bear market, the supply to mint standard was very appealing to people. So a 2K supply of a free mint was very appealing to those influencers to go mint, versus if this was a 10K collection in the NFT space, all of a sudden it becomes a different ball game. It becomes, it's not very bear market friendly, versus 2K was very bear market friendly. So that got a lot of the Finnies, again, they saw a lot of potential to make money on their trade if they are to buy this. Because of course, less supply equals less selling pressure, and this is something Finny is interested in. So to recap, what made Art Gobblers so successful is the fact that they had a qualified team. Number one. Number two, most important, I would say, is they've shown the sustainable business that they're building, the tokenomics, in a way that is both transparent and also proactive. They've shown people exactly what they're doing and how people can basically come in and steal what they're building. They've published all the code on GitHub. Number three, they had social proof. So a lot of people were speaking about Art Gobblers, the leading up to the mint, all the influencers, the PR campaign, all that led people to speak about them. And finally, the profit potential. Of course, all that hype building up, as well as the small supply, got a lot of people bullish that they could potentially come into this project and make money. So use those four elements and try to apply them to your project. And if there's one you want to focus on right now during the bear market, it's the second point, which is try to show the community that you're building something. And even though what you're building might not be the most revolutionary thing ever, if you have that small element that could save people $1 on gas fees, or that small thing that is going to make your whitelist process more smooth, coming in and showing that as an innovation, showcasing that, because innovation is still innovation, no matter how small it is. So if you do not have an element of innovation within your roadmap, try to create that and showcase that, put that up front. And that really could mean the difference for your project between, having the smoothest launch ever or basically struggling to put your project in front of people. So that was it, ladies and gentlemen. And if you're interested in learning how you can continue building your project and marketing it during the bear market, I'm going to be attaching a video right here that you can watch so you can continue learning, continue getting better, and you can accomplish what you aim to accomplish. I'll see you very soon.